Here, I am the only candidate who actually has a record on the shipyard, and I consistently voted yes with amendments. I think the most glaring error with this plan is there was no comprehensive transportation analysis. And whether you are for the bridge or against the bridge, you must admit that the effects of having a bridge or not having a bridge affects the ripple of transit all the way throughout the plan. I served on the Restoration Advisory Board. I'm intimately familiar with the technical data, the environmental contamination. I actually worked in environmental litigation early in my career. I live a stone's throw from the shipyard. I have a lot at stake in this development personally, and I believe that we are safe. I believe that there is a long process ahead of us for remediating the rest of the shipyard. As many of you know, it's being remediated parcel by parcel. There is, I hope, soon to be a restored public process around the Navy's cleanup of the shipyard. And I hope everyone will participate in that process, particularly with respect to parcel E2, which was an actual landfill. There was radioactive material dumped there. We need to be very vigilant that cleanup of that parcel is to the highest standards. However, after a lot of soul searching, a lot of discussion, probably 500 meetings I've gone to over the past 5 years, many of which touch on the shipyard, I do believe strongly that the community is better with this development than without it. I think we have a lot of opportunity to make improvements in the plan, and we will, with the right leadership, make improvements in the plan. Just as one example, Lenar plans a small builder program. To them, small means one city block at a time. That absolutely has to be more fine-grained to allow local individuals to buy an individual lot, build a 3-flat building, live in one, sell the other 2, the way the city was built over many years with small organic development. So that's my record. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. And our next responder is Malia Cohen.
Lenar. That's going to be it's an interesting entity. Lenar is definitely the company has dominated the lion's share of our conversation when we talk about redevelopment. Rightfully so. However, I wanted to take a moment to think about all of the redevelopment that we're talking about that's going on in the Southeast. We can't be singular in our vision of what we want our community to look like. And District 10, when we talk about development in District 10, we must not let Lenar dominate this conversation. And we as a community must be balanced in our approach when it comes to this development. Did you know that there's development going on at the Slage Lock? It's further south down redevelopment. There's the Brisbane Byland that's also under project area development. And housing. This project has been couched under the need for housing, the need for job. And the one element that's been missing from this conversation has been the Navy. Where have they been? Missing and absent. So as the Board of Supervisors went down and made their vote, if I were on the Board of Supervisors, I would actually support the project. And I would support the project because I believe that what Lenar presents is an extraordinary opportunity for us to pick ourselves up, organize ourselves, and come together and collectively voice what we would like to see our community to look like. It's our role to work with the elected family to create those kind of accountabilities, to sit down, to have these conversations, and be measured in our commitment to development. Now, it's imperative that the Lenar project will go forward, but it has to be, environmentally sound.
Thank you, Malia.
Thank you.
And next responder is Steve Moss.
So we're time traveling, right? If you take one step back right before the vote, what would you do? If you took another step back right before, you pick Lenar, which actually happened in somewhat of a shady deal, as we know. Maybe you don't let that happen. If you take another step back, would you say to the Navy, hey, why are you throwing crap around on this place? You know, so we can time travel, we can kind of figure out how we might have behaved, but obviously a different supervisor, a different set of circumstances, different Navy, different set of circumstances. Frankly, I probably would have voted for the EIR. And And I can tell you why, but I think what's more important at this point is let's go forward and understand what we need to do in the future, not what was done in the past. And what can we learn about this shipyard? One thing that we can learn is that something bad happened with the conversation in the community. There was nothing more toxic in the shipyard than the conversation about the shipyard. And why did we allow that to happen? And why is it that the Environmental Protection Agency can oversee a $1 billion cleanup, well, it is $1 billion, one of the biggest cleanups in probably international history, and we don't believe, or there are some people who don't believe, that that site is clean enough to inhabit? What went wrong with the community conversation, and how are we going to have different kinds of conversations in a community that is clearly wounded, that does not trust people because there is good reason not to trust people? How are we going to address those sorts of things? How am I going to address those sort of things as a supervisor? And one thing we need to start doing is having honest conversations and take responsibility for what's going to happen everywhere in this district. For example, I think it would be great if someone said to the folks in Hunters Point, I'm going to move there. I'm moving my 9-year-old to live on that site, and I'm going to live there because I think it's clean. And what's more, I really want a job there. So let's make sure that there are plenty of jobs there, because as other people have sort of alluded to, we're programming a lot of housing, we're not programming enough jobs. And we need to start paying attention to the jobs at that shipyard site. And throughout the district, we're programming a lot of housing, we're not programming enough jobs. And let's have better conversations about things so that when we get into heated debates, we trust one another to make answers that we believe are true.
Thank you, Steve. And the final respondent to this question is Stephen Weber.
First off, yes, I would have voted for it. I believe, as was mentioned earlier, the project is done. We need it, and we can't wait any longer for it. But I also believe that, again, we go back to the oversight, the regulation, and the responsibility of the city government, specifically the Board of Supervisors, to make sure that the developer and everybody connected with the project is held accountable to following the correct procedures, to following through on the promises they made about the jobs that will be there, and to make sure that when they say they're building affordable housing means it's a mix. I don't build, the low-cost housing on the one side of the town, and then all of the moderate to market price housing up on the top of the hill where you have the best views. It has to be a mix. It has to be a neighborhood built on diversity, just like San Francisco was and is. I think those are the kind of things that you need the leadership for. We're going to do the building. We're going to build the consensus, make sure the community is built the way we want it built, and keep them and their feet to the fire to make them come through with the commitments that they've already made and will continue to make. And I believe that is something that we can do because it is a phased project, and I believe you have to be ready for the long run to continue to watch them. And again, like Mr. Moss said, it does require communication. If I am elected your candidate, I can promise you right now, you will see me in every single community, just like this forum right here, on a quarterly basis to ask you, the community, exactly what you feel is going good, bad, or indifferent, and ask for your input and your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much.